Me, Grim.
Senile old dad. You need to go to an old folks' home.
Oh yes, because I liked asking this. When is dropship update?
I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna assume it's in. Good guess here. Let me have a good guess.
Some September, probably next year.
All right. Ah, yes, the Fables soon trademark.
Soon in 3 to 4 months.
I need to finish stupid database.
Oh yes, how's that going?
Not very good.
Well, you're making progress. How minuscule?
Database, yes. I'd rather do database than database. But holy shit.
Well, Hunk, the dropship's gonna be probably next.
Yeah, probably next year. But I'll try to do it sooner.
We have priorities. Oh yeah, are we on the master branch now?
Almost.
Man, I love pinging everybody.
I don't.
Thank you,
No?
Father.
No, Hunk, that was my guess. I guessed it was going to be in March, because it's a long way away, so why not?
So, since we are getting close to going ahead and starting, I'm just waiting for a whole bunch of people to join in by the sounds of it. If you have any questions, please PM them to me and I will get to them at some point. I already have a bunch. I don't know how many because for some reason Discord stops counting at 9. But it's more than 9.
It's like
that
6.
last one made me laugh. So as we're getting started, we should all know what town halls are at this point. They're a chance for us to get information to you and a chance to give you an opportunity to ask us questions, pertinent questions that you would like answered. That sort of, frankly, bypass some of the red tape. These are direct questions generally, although not always. So please get me your questions right now. I will filter them through for the stupid ones and probably not read out the stupid ones. I'm sorry. While we are waiting for that, we have the first bit of information that we need to get to you, and that is the current mentor system. You may or may not have realized that we have gone ahead with our changes to the mentor, and we are in the first stage of our changes. What this means is that we have a separate working mentor A-help system. We call them M-helps. And we are in the middle of getting our bugs out of that little system right now, and then we are going to start opening it up for more mentors. Mentors are going to be very different. They are going to be sort of a community role rather than a staff role. So what does that mean? Well, if you would like to be a mentor, it means you would not be staff. We're still working on whether we want a little questionnaire, how in depth we want it to be, everything along those lines. Personally, I am leaning towards yes, a little bit of a questionnaire. Then you will be opt into the system. When somebody has a mentor help, they will hit the F1 button, say they have a mentor help, write it just like they were doing an A help, and it will go straight to the mentors, who will then either answer the question or defer it back to us. That's pretty much it for the mentor system right now. We're still working on things. This is probably not its final form, but right now we are in a state that we are more or less happy to start with. And so we will be opening it up to mentors, chances are sometimes later this week. Does anyone else have anything they would like to add about that? I mean, maybe there's something I'm forgetting about it. Who knows? But if not, I am going to start answering questions because I don't think I have any more pertinent information to get out to you guys. So these questions are in no particular order other than the order that Discord decides to send it to me.
The only thing I think I can add to the mentor system is some people have asked how many we're gonna accept. Currently, there's no given number, but we're probably gonna have more than we had on the staff team, which we would aim for about 15 to 20 before. So we'll probably have more than that.
All right, first question. Will the amount of Xenos be able to devour a host be reduced? It's pretty odd that something as slim and fast as a runner should be able to eat something and still run just as fast, with the only penalty being vents.
Is it a question to dev team?
Probably not, because I can answer that one with a likely no. I don't think we want to make it too much more difficult for Xenos to capture things. You know, that's a pretty core part of their gameplay. It's an interesting idea, but if you have ideas and suggestions, you still need to GitLab those, because if you give them to us now, they will be lost to the annals of time. Do you have any updates regarding the heads discussion on the state of RP on the server and the desire for a so-called return to HRP MRP? Things are continuing on. We have been doing more behind the scenes work on that. As you know, we have started a new first contact rule in which people are aware of Xenos/Marines at the beginning of the round, and I'm liking some of the RP that's been springing up from that. We've still got a couple of ideas on the back burner, but again, this is sort of a slower process of changing the RP. Question for the developers. What is the philosophy behind the new Xeno structures that have been tested a few times? From a player perspective, it doesn't really seem very fun waiting for your larva evolution to finish, only to immediately suicide to make some kind of structure. And the want to get evopods will likely encourage Xenos to stay in the hive to try to get them instead of focusing on gathering whatever monkey reskin is on the current map.
So the xenostructures are still in being balanced and developed. That's why we're having tests. And I understand that spending a drone is not a thing that people want. So if this is something that most of the players don't want to have, then we might remove it. If we go forward with the change, other than that, cannot say much. It's still being looked at, still being tested. So I'd really like to encourage more feedback on that side, like constructive feedback. So yeah. Yes, I do read the town hall text.
Do you think that the listed rules on the wiki are too vague? There are frequent questions about clarification. For example, see Emerald's rule clarification post. And given that many staff state that some rulings come from a perspective of game balance rather than RP, a principle that is not within the rules. There's huge room for a disconnect between what a new player thinks the rules are after reading the rule page and what the actual rules are. This isn't the happiest answer, but for the most part, we intentionally leave some rules very vague. We could, in fact, go through and do line items for everything. For example, go into a paragraph deep on when improper escalation is proper escalation, when it is not proper escalation, and so on and so forth. We don't want to do that, frankly. We don't think it's necessary to have a 15-page document for our rule system. Some things are, in fact, left up to be determined. We do our very best to make sure that the staff team is on the same page. Again, through things like meetings and discussions and whatnot on the Discord, excuse me. But they're more or less intentionally left that way. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes a new player will run afoul of the mods because they are breaking a rule that's perhaps not very well clarified and listed, and it could be done much better. And I kind of hate to say it, but it's kind of an acceptable thing. Generally, after a conversation or two, a new player, once they get things understood to them, they fall pretty well with the way we do our rules. So in the long term, yeah, someone suffers, but in the long run, it works much, much better rather than having, like I mentioned before, a 15-page rule document.
I should also point out, if there was actually a 15-page rule document that did explain everything, no one would actually read it, and less people would know the rules. So,
yeah. I also would like to say that if you are talking to me and PMing me and adding me in the town hall text, I'm not reading it because I'm getting a lot of multi question pings from people, and if I click away from whoever it was, I will lose it. So if you got a question for me, make sure you DM it to me and not put it in the general chat, please. We're going to skip that one. Question for the devs. When are we adding an ambulance so I can be my nickname correctly? And then can we add 2 more letters to the character limit to names?
So I assume the 2 more letters is the Xeno name. I'll answer that first. So
no,
as you
talking about that he wants like 2 more on character names because he can't fit like
Oh.
ambulance or something.
I don't know, like, will we get next in next 3 months, please add another 2 or 3 letters and so on and so on. We can set some kind of a hard limit and don't push it any further. So like have it exactly 60 letters, or more round number, 64 letters. As for the first question, the ambulance, I don't know exact information on the changes we're gonna do to the tank, well, the vehicles for Marines, but the gunship mode that will come at some point will be able to hover over the location and evacuate everyone via stretchers topside. So maybe you can call that an ambulance, but like there is no plans there is no plans that I heard of to have an ambulance car or something like that.
Also tagged on to that one, it seems that there is an issue with changing underwear options. I guess any cosmetic options where it does not save, I suppose.
It might be. We know the issue that may cause that. And also, don't send me PMs because I won't be taking Grimcat's
No.
time.
All questions come to me, and then I filter them from there. All right. Any plans for an M39 buff? Currently, there is very little it does better than either a rifle or a shotgun.
M39, the reason behind M39 and L42 is to have something you can run fast with. We had a bug that did not slow Marines down enough with the weapons that they wield, which means that the SMG and LMG L42 lost their purpose. But now that the bug is fixed, it's back to being the weapon you're running with.
Okay.
So no plans to buff it yet.
Are there any plans for more features to be added to the CT or an MT's role? At the moment, they're kind of bland and full of menial work.
MT, maybe there are an idea to have newer engine, but it's long in development. We don't know the exact idea behind the engine, and this engine will have really low consumption of the server resources, so not retag, not Singulo, not Tesla. It's most likely will be kind of the same engine, but with more things to do for MT. City, I don't know yet how to do it, so no.
How is Corsat coming up?
Corsat. Corsat, again, we will not release it until the server is stable enough for the Corsat. Corsat is the most resource intensive map that we had for a long time. So until our game lags less and more optimized, we will not release Corsat.
Any idea what the current source of the lag is lately? Many people seem to be crashing more often than even was happening a few months ago.
The Beyond version. Something with Beyond and doesn't appear on other servers because it's either we are doing something stupid, which is probably very likely because we do not use any of the latest code the other servers have, or Beyond is particularly heavy and prone to crashing on the thing that we have the most, which is the blood decals, the splatter, the bullet casings, and so on and so forth.
Uh, are devs and staff not too depressed from working here?
You first.
I'm not depressed. This is something I enjoy doing. I really like the game, and I could go on for a long time, but long story short, I want to give something back to it. So that's why I'm here. There are ups and downs. There are days when I'm sick of it and I think it's a stupid game and I wish it would just burn down to the ground. But those are pretty few and far between.
Yeah, it's kind of sameish. Sometimes this work, like many works related to development, is in a burst fire. Sometimes it's pretty chill. You're having a happy life. You are doing what you like. But at some point, some shittler decides that it's time to crash the server or it's time to exploit something, and you basically get 2 days of constant looking through and trying to fix stuff as soon as possible, contact other servers, exchange information, and so on. Sometimes, like, we have disagreements that we try to fix, and in every disagreement, even if you are getting a compromise, someone is going to suffer. Someone's idea is going to a dumpster, or someone's feedback on that idea is going to the dumpster. So yeah, it's really nice. I like it, but sometimes it's pretty stressful.
Some staff do get depressed, and that's why they leave.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that sometimes real life doesn't help. We do this to escape from like real life stress, but sometimes real life stress pours into whatever we like to do, and then everything becomes depressing and you really need to take a break.
Yeah, there's ups and downs as well. Sometimes you really like being staff here, and then sometimes you have to deal with 2, 3 shit things in a row, and then you don't feel like doing anything for a week. It's got more good times than bad times. Otherwise, I don't think we'd do it. But it can get to you sometimes.
And sometimes there's something that's huge in terms of drama, and you just think, yeah, I'm done with this all. Everyone has low points and high points. But Nev is happy. He told me this week. Nev is happy.
Incidentally, apply for staff.
Yeah, yes, we have cookies.
Is there a fix coming up soon to fix the sticky ban system that is going haywire?
Sticky ban system is maintained by Beyond itself, the Beyond pager ban system, which is not great, and every other server tells us that it's not great. The database ban system that I am working on may make it much more simpler and much more secure and work without crashes. But I'm gonna say, well, I don't know if I can say that, but the amount of bans, you may guess, it's pretty huge.
I mean, I literally just resolved 13 of them, and I'm doing more right now. It's one of those points where you just get depressed because you look at this fucking huge list and you have to go through them. That's one of the bad bits about being staff.
Yes, so ban list is pretty huge, and probably the Beyond developer was not, well, I cannot say that it's not something that we did to the ban system, but the amount of bans may do something to the.
And just to reiterate, long story short, yes, we're working on there. No, we don't have a solution at the moment, but we're getting closer.
Literally, I have to go in and fix the BAM file like every day. So, I mean,
The
it's
solution
not
is we
being
literally
neglected.
have to do it manually.
Funnily enough, this next one is when will I get unbanned? I got caught up in the sticky.
What's your C key?
Go ahead and post it in the main chat. We're going through it.
I'm
it's
literally going through them right now, so you might already be unbanned at this point.
The tough and the very frustrating thing is that we all have lives outside of CM. And when you get banned for something that's not your fault, it's rough. And, I know because when I first started playing, I got banned for a month and a half for this exact same thing. And it's rough. I get it, but you just got to bear with us because we work on it. We haven't forgotten you, but sometimes you got to do some things for your own sanity and all. And That involves taking a break from CM every now and again.
Or apply to staff have exemption from sticky ban system.
Actually, they don't. Grimton gets
Fuck.
banned all the time.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone has been banned and unbanned from the server more times than I have.
Grimcat, stop using illegal windows.
Technically, that's the thing. It's not an illegal Windows.
Yeah, the second you say
key.
technically illegal,
It's a mass-produced CD. You know, they send it to these companies. These companies shouldn't be using it, but these companies are using it, and so the little guy like me suffers.
Yeah.
So I'm here with you all.
But eventually we're gonna fix it and replace with nicer DB ban system.
That's another question about the sticky ban. Will mentors get their own forum application form on the forums? When we get to it, if we decide to go the route of a application, which at the moment I'm certainly leaning towards, yes, it'll be just like a application for anything else. It'll be a form on the forums, and you'll just hit the button, it'll populate everything. Somebody will take a look at it, and then we'll yay or nay it. Are devs happy with the current version of the spitter? The damage is real high right now, but I'm wondering if this is what they want the spitter to be, or if the numbers are too high.
You mean the acid damage over time?
I would assume so, yes.
No, we changed
Yes.
it. We made it a bit less damaging, but damage in total is the same.
Is it possible for resin cuffs to make a return to counter the amount of Heffa warriors we capture? And by that you mean Marines that have just dozens and dozens of grenades with them?
Resin cuffs were not a great idea. So, no.
We didn't like them. They were a pain if you ever played with them. I think it'll just take a little bit of time for Xenos to realize that, yeah, you know, Marines have a million grenades, and maybe don't make them so close together.
Yeah, on that. When we had resin cuffs, if I recall, people started biting their hands off just to remove. Fun mechanic that I didn't know about until it got removed.
All right, was the last town hall a success? Yes, I believe so. It was the first town hall that we've had in quite some time. I didn't count the turnout because I'm not that kind of guy. But there were a lot of questions. It lasted a couple of hours. So, yes, I'd call it a success. When will Coresat be released? This was kind of alluded to. Coresat has some issues with it. It's a big map, and it is a resource-intensive map. Until some workarounds and fixes can be worked around and fixed, we will not be releasing it, so there is no current ETA on it.
It's literally too cool for Beyond to handle.
Oh, fun fact, Beyond has a limit. You can have maximum of 64,000 of unique tiles. It looks like a lot, but it's not. So you cannot even paint the big enough map, like 400 by 400, and have unique tile in every place. And even if you get like a half or a third of the limit, you'll still have a lot of issues with how memory works, allegedly.
There have been rumors about a tank rework. Is there anything you can tell us about the objectives or timeline for the rework?
So yeah, tank is being reworked. That's all. Like the objective is to make tank. Well, the interesting thing is when two crewmen join into the game, they only spawn 2/5 of a larva to compensate. So if Marines have tank or they don't have tank, it's the larva population for Xenos is still based on the amount of actual players in the game in on the Marine side. So that means that just adding the tank will be very very effective for Marines. So there is an idea to have, well, what you've seen in the chat, which is APC. When we gonna get it, I don't know. It's probably not soon, but maybe sooner than we all think.
Is there anything known about if Xeno structures are going to be added and anything able to be shared about their specific functionality, specifically the spawning pool?
The functionality will be shared and probably put on the wiki if we are going through with them. And yes, that's all.
Yeah.
Yes,
As
we
mentioned,
won't. Sorry,
it's still a testing phase. Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to say that we won't be keeping people in the dark. It's not our goal. We can hide the exact effects, we can hide the exact values, but the general idea and general workings of everything is, well, it's public.
I'll do my best to explain anything they produce.
Any ideas of adjusting low pop for Xenos? They usually seem to get stomped.
That's, I will just repeat what I said about the tank. Well, if we are adding tank, we want to add not one larva, but like 10 or 15. And that's it.
Any plans to add new Xeno classes? Or cased?
No.
No,
Cased.
not that I know of.
Casts, please. Please.
It's cased, guys.
I'm gonna dunk you.
Like it's a regional dialect. Is the development team working, or does it have any plans to work on any changes to MP equipment and /or methods of investigation? Right now, MPs use mostly testimonies, which are often not very reliable.
No. Just that it's I feel that we do fail the so-called MP mains by not giving them anything useful but to punish some ungas. But there is nothing we can add right now for them. We killed most of the investigations besides something that admins might need. So again, for optimization's sake. So yeah, that's it.
Will nests ever be implemented so that you can build them into walls and put Marines in there closer to the movies?
Well, the nests that are on the walls are still basically nests that are on the tile near the wall. So it looks like something that can be fixed with this sprite work if needed, but I don't think this is a priority for us to do.
It
will
was
be-
looked into in the past, but we decided not to add it. I think it was because of like the sprite disconnect of where the actual tile was, but yeah, it was tried in the past. I don't think it's a priority, as Meth said.
Yeah. And so a lot of work can look strange and not a lot of profit from that.
Question for the devs, but do you know when the DB will counting time played as a roll if you survive the round? Right now, if you live through a round, stats do not get counted.
What?
I don't. I mean, that's been an issue that we've circulated internally. That's Keiki's feature. So I don't have a precise ETA on when that'll be fixed now.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. Well, we might get it sooner.
Since the Xenos now have structures, can Marines get some? A flame turret would be nice, or some kind of deploy on-site camera system that can be used to target OBs and casts, or extremely quick deploy barbed wire / razor wire spools. Excuse me.
Not for USCM.
Yeah.
But maybe there is another side that can sometimes appear instead of aliens. And maybe they'll get something interesting with the buildings.
Are there any plans currently to rework Ice Colony, Prison, or Dam? Players seem to think that all three have major problems.
Ice Colony, yes. Dam, yes. And what's the last?
Prison.
Prison, no.
All right.
Sorry, just want to add there is not a lot of plans and what we can do with prison to fix it. So not yet.
Will there ever be shotguns for the Scout? Probably not anytime soon. They got removed from the Scout because they were a bit too powerful with being able to go invisible and all, and then stun someone with a ton of damage from very close range. It almost always ensured a kill.
The scout can use the shotgun if they're not cloaked.
See, well, I didn't know that one.
Well, there was an interesting bug where you could have seen the weapon if someone was cloaked. We think we can reintroduce this bug as a feature for just Scout and extend their cloaking duration. And this way you can see the weapon in their hand, and if they have a shotgun, you'll see it and, I don't know, run away or pounce on them.
Where do you aim to go with the new art?
Say again?
So where do you aim to go with the new RP? This is our guidelines. We want to sort of bring the RP levels back to medium for most everyone, and we want to sort of go towards the higher end of this spectrum for shipside roles. So it's not just, again, doing your thing on the ship and then, I don't know, either immediately deploying to the ground or going around smashing lights and things like that. We want there to be these roles where there's more RP on the ship, but we want to keep the Marines on the ground, sort of in that medium RP role where we're doing RPs, but we're not just spamming kill bugs 60 or 70 times in a row. Can you fix any of the pianos scattered across the map that are broken?
No.
I personally hate all the instruments in SS13. So no.
I think they were broken on purpose, but it wasn't me. It was John Titor or someone.
Yeah, John Titor playing it.
Any plan changes for squad engineer? Maybe less tedious than their cousin's ship side, but it still feels like they need some love.
The barricade rack that we had discussed recently, maybe something that you want to use as a squad engineer, basically something that you can stash already built barricades into and then deploy them in new locations. So yeah.
Nat,
But
add us Sentry remote control tablets so they can play that mini game while they sit in the pub and do nothing all game.
sure, but what's the profit of having the camera guided sentry? Again, need to be thought about if we want to give them a bigger zoom so they can shoot for further with the sentry or something. So maybe.
Okay, there's one I have to skip. I find friendly fire an issue in the game. For example, you'll be fighting on the front line and a player will shotgun you in the back of the head or burst fire you in the back and kill you. Can there be some sort of in-game punishment to friendly fire, such as MPs coming to arrest them for manslaughter? The idea is that this would make players pay more attention to their full surroundings in order to reduce friendly fire. It would also give the MPs more things to do and create more roleplay interactions. That's already a thing. Like, you can report somebody to the MPs for friendly fire. Now, admittedly, it probably won't get very far because the MPs are sort of bound to the fob and should not be going out into the quote unquote wilderness, as it were, as that creates a lot more issues than it solves. Friendly fire is an aspect of the game that is not going to be going anywhere, however. But there are already things to do around it, you know. Now, admittedly, you can't just haul off and shoot them back and kill them, because that's something that'll get you on staff's bad side. But you can already take it as a prompt to allow more P and all that. You just got to do it.
What if you friendly fire someone, the damage is applied to you? That's a joke, by the way.
It's not. Do you really want to punish people for that? I get that it makes people salty, but punishing people for making, very simple and easy to make mistake, especially in the game, which is particularly laggy for a lot of people. It's really hard sometimes to just not shoot someone in the back, as funny as it sounds. That's not very reasonable. And having MPs arrest people at the front lines has never worked. It's always just created massive shit fests with salt everywhere. It's just not worth the trouble at all. Sometimes you'll die to it, but sometimes you'll die to a cloaked lurker that comes around the corner as well.
Can we remove IFF from the sniper like the good old days where you just accidentally shoot your squad leader's head off because you walked in front of it?
No, actually, we had a bug long time ago, but which was the first bug that I fixed for this game. Which when your sniper rifle had an offset, it actually forgets that it has to recenter, and so if you're clicking near you, it shoots back. And so I think I shot the head off the sergeant. Sarge, I think I shot your head off when I was sniping around.
No, I don't think you shot me. I haven't died to an idiot with a sniper rifle yet.
Okay, that's good. That's great. But yeah, I shot someone just like 180 no scope or full scope. It was fun.
Have you considered adding some sort of paradrop/drop troop to the game to encourage high risk, high reward flank plays to break stalemates?
Yes, it's called gunship mode, and it's gonna happen at some point.
I believe this person deleted every single thing they sent to me. Are there any plans to give UPP or other ERTs boot knives?
If I recall, the UPP have a bayonet pouch, although I don't know if it's removed or not, and they do have the marine combat boots. So you can slide that knife into those boots.
Yeah, I think
CLF and freelancers and whoever else, they don't have it.
I think this is more of a GitLab thing because it's one of those very minor things that tends to slide under the radar.
Yeah, go GitLab it. I'll post a link in Town Hall.
All right, for the devs, what is the position of the development team on Hugger gameplay? Currently, it does not seem very fun for either side. Hugger traps require Marines to slowly go through the context menu for tiles with items or tables on them before entering rooms, and getting hugged is essentially a death sentence, with any escape from a hive near impossible if even a single Xeno is watching you. From an alien perspective, it is not very fun to spam disarm on a Marine and then spend a few minutes walking back to the hive instead of using any of your abilities, which is why so many Xenos kill easy captured. The only people who I think might really be enjoying it are carriers, but they essentially act as frontline hives, only being able to hug a Marine after they are dragged behind Xeno lines, with the facehugger throwing ability almost never actually getting a hug off.
So basically, you're saying bring back the old Hugger AI. Yeah, sure, let's do it.
Can
But
we bring back hugger runners as well? When you shotgun them and they just drop all their huggers and they hug you? Oh, the best.
Bring back the ability for every Xeno to carry a hugger and just throw it on someone and get them hugged. But in all seriousness, well, Marines have enough tools, and we don't want Marines to be fast when going into the Xenohive. It's basically our way to reduce the power of the initial spearhead that Marines have. You can use flamethrowers, you can use fire grenades, you can use usual grenades. They all clear huggers pretty well. So there is no reason, in my opinion, to bring back the old hugger AI that was basically hunting you across the map. And well, it wasn't fun. Trust me, it wasn't fun for Marines. It was very fun for Xenos. I might add.
Ah, yes. When opening a locker and you see 30 huggers right there, going to kill you.
Yeah, and it's Delta Spearhead, and just Delta. All 30 Marines are getting instantly hugged without any chance to get saved. Yeah, it was hilarious. It was really, really fun, but not for the Marines.
What do I personally think about making feedback threads for staff? I.e., allowing players to post in a thread to give feedback on a specific staff member. It would allow constructive criticism to improve the staff and see how the community sees them. It'll allow players to give comments on staff conduct that's not a staff report.
Yeah, that sounds good in theory. It would be terrible.
Yeah, you know,
Salt threads.
like it or not, our community is pretty strongly opinioned and tends to react without thinking a lot of the time. And you can see that currently on a lot of threads that are already on the forum. It's not a terrible idea. My initial and gut reaction is that it would see a lot of memeing. It would see a lot of just overly harsh, you banned me, F you, and things of that nature. It's not an awful idea, but I don't think it's really great for our community the way we stand right now. Is there any chance of a jury rig construction unique skill line for survivor spawn slash for events? Examples being a makeshift sentry that shoots everything, wooden stakes, things along that nature. So you're asking the ability to craft more things, especially on a more primitive level.
Sounds like a GitLab to me.
It's not a priority for us to give more features to survivors, but it's a priority to keep them survivable a bit. So it's not completely unfair to them. So I wouldn't say that we will do something like that soon.
Question: can the corporate liaison finally get the Ratty Ricky giant ears to wear on their head? A relic from the company's fledgling days. That's pretty funny, but probably not. I get it. It's a very definite nod to Disney buying out Fox and all that, but from an honest standpoint, probably not. Any plans to give the abomination any changes or strains in the future, or will it remain as it is for a good while yet?
Abominations are not fun to play against.
Yeah, I can't see that happening anyway. I mean, abominations are so very rare anyway, especially like natural abominations nowadays. Because it's very hard to keep a predator from killing itself one way or another. Frankly, I couldn't see any time going into making strains for the abomination. It's only very rarely an event thing because of how strong it is, and yeah, I can't see it happening. Any chance on reverting the hijack time for the DS? It's too fast to do anything, mostly for rec.
That's the whole fucking point.
Yeah, that's the entire point of it, is that it's too fast for you to react to it and create, fobs on the ship. It's supposed to be a very quick thing, so now because the current gameplay is destroy the fob on the planet, then they would have to go up and destroy a fob on the ship. This more or less gets rid of that fob on the ship now, and so it's more of a, I don't know, open free for all, I guess you could say, between the two sides, and not as much of a attack and defend type deal.
It's also a great time to use those new barricade racks so you can have those barricades ready to go.
Yeah, the thing's supposed to cause a lot of chaos, so
Ship is going to crash into the atmosphere anyways, so why bother with self-destruct?
I really like the changes with the shorter DS crashing time. I don't know if I'm alone with that, but I really like them. Can you add a stretcher for the researchers in order to haul Xeno corpses faster?
Get Labbit.
Yeah. uh, I can't say that, soldier. Thoughts on IO/DEFCON? Are they reaching their desired fantasy/objectives?
No, we are doing some first pass ideas on the DEFCON. Then we want to go away from the file folder disk logic and keep it more of the hold position for some amount of time while IOs are downloading data. But that's the general idea.
Any plans on updating the IO vendor? That's more of a GitLab thing because it's probably gotten overlooked.
Maybe.
Another question for devs. Talking about the tile limit on maps, is it possible to do dynamic loading maps? For example, would it be possible to have another ship in addition to the Almaer without having to deal with the big hunk of ship just floating around CENTCOM?
Yes, but not right now. There is an idea to have some sort of nightmare system on the in-game that you don't preload. The good thing about preloading is that, well, in Nightmare in general, that it's pretty easy on the game. It does all the work right before the game starts. But having something in game and asking everyone to stop fighting while it recreates the new ship from the template or something, yeah, it probably will happen before the end of this year.
Are there any plans for a dedicated transport and dedicated case evac bird? With the ability for dropships to land at any LZ, we could possibly have a bigger Alamo to fit the larger number of Marines.
I'd say we don't know. we'd rather have another dropship than make dropships bigger, because we are hitting the point where dropships themselves are too hard to load in and too hard to transport, which is one of the reasons why sometimes Xenos are getting jibbed when hitting the Almaer. So, yeah.
Is there any plan for a Xeno version of DEF CON?
No. We'd rather have every side to have different objectives and style of gameplay, and DEF CON is something that is specific to Marines.
What is the development of the APC? I'm curious if it will have a transport role.
Yes, it will have a transport role, but the status is, well, at some point, soon.
Yes, what's the bloody point of adding an APC if you're not going to transport?
You should at Xenos.
But then it's not an APC, it's an infantry
IFE.
fighting vehicle. Yeah, not that. That's not a carrier.
With the addition of stairs, couldn't you just add a second floor to the DS?
Well, we thought about that, but imagine the time it will take to to deploy from the two floor dropship. Yeah, like British double deckers.
The IO spawns hungry like the Marine. Is that intended, or is this just a feature that isn't really worth enough to be looked over?
GitLab it.
GitLab it.
Are there any plans to remove the Trigent bunkhouse and LV lake house spawns from Survivor?
GitLab.
GitLab it.
GitLab. Mm,
As for the lake spawn, yeah, we can remove it if no one likes it. It was a fun idea at some point, but it seems like people are having second thoughts about it.
We are actually reading the GitLab. I promise.
The first thing I did when I became head dev, I created a channel where every GitLab is posted automatically.
Can you care to comment on the interaction between staff's desire to return to MRP, HRP, and staff who frequently play meme midis? This is a thing that we've talked about in-house. I'm not a huge fan of meme midis for the most part. I think it's okay to have some of these silly events, but not from staff. I would rather see them from staff in a more sanctioned way for players. Yes, there is a little bit of a disconnect right now. Personally, I'm not a fan of the, what is it, the bicorn neon genesis whatever anime thing. I can't stand it personally, but it's something we're working on. It's kind of hard to get everybody on the same page, because for the most part, when these meme midis are played, we don't know about it. Like most of the community is generally fine with the thing being played, as long as it's not being constantly played. They're fine with it every, I don't know, a MIDI probably gets played once every 12 rounds or something like that. And so generally it's all right. It is, again, like I mentioned, something we have discussed with some of those players who are playing the staff members who are playing the Mimi midis.
And also having midis at the end of the round or at the start of the round might be, it's too late to have any impact on the RP level, in my opinion.
Runners tend to run into groups of Marines and run through them, causing mass friendly fire and the runner getting away. Could there be some sort of ways Marines could trap a runner doing this, like a cage to throw at it or genetically engineered Marine that can grab the runner?
How about you just let the smart gunner do his work, or
Yeah.
use a B8 scope, or just run away from the. Then again, it's fast.
That's kind of one of the things that runners can do by design. You can be smarter with your barricade placement and your placement around barricades. You can use claymores, though I'll admit you're going to get hurt if you're using a claymore like that. But there are ways to stop runners from doing that, and you got to look into them. Definitely not likely to add something to stop runners from running. Any possibility to add craftable makeshift flamethrower? Broken record, but that's sort of a GitLab thing. If you want a suggestion,
GitLab it.
Do you think you can set up some sort of event coordinator staff member organizes events roughly a week ahead of time, giving them the ability to prep the events in advance? We have that. That is now Jerkface. It is still in its fledgling stages and has also not been a priority for us. So, to be frank, it's sort of fallen by the wayside in terms of hard what we need and whatever. That is the general idea of him shifting over this role, however. Excuse me. Regarding the dropship crash time being reduced to speed up the game, the staff's current stance on the Queen wiping out the fob and then waiting 5 to 10 minutes before even calling down the dropship for the hive to gain strength. Okay. That's kind of a tough one. It does take some time to gather up all the Xenos from the planet in order to get them ready to go up onto the ship. They're quick, but they don't teleport. You know, you got to drag larvae, you got to drag infected Marines and all that. I can't really see putting in like a mechanical thing. Hey, the Marines ran away. Now you got to go up in X amount of time. When we as staff see that this is happening, we do take steps to step in and speak with the Queen and hurry up the issue. We don't want them sitting around for, 10 minutes plus either. So when we see it, we call them out and we tell them they need to, hey, go back up or go up. Any plans for more shipside roles added to the Almayer, like chef or anything along those lines?
No, not like chef.
We already don't know what to do with the MTs and CTs. You want us to add more useless roles? No.
Yeah, it's this matter of we want these shipside roles to have the RP, but we have to give them tools and reasons and ways to RP with. And to be frank, we're having issues with that. So at this point, we're probably not adding more to it. Local voice option game?
No.
I believe there used to be like TTS for the game years ago when it was first around. And it was terrible. Like, I think there's some videos circling around the internet of CM in its infancy. You should look some of those ones up. And man, they were pretty rough. And anyway, with as many people as are playing now, it would just be a cacophony at all times.
As soon as you add text to speech, it will increase the number of times someone will say "as blast USA."
Yeah, I imagine it would also be too. And that's
It would
the last
it would
thing
like
we
crash the server when we had like 60 people online, so it's not feasible anymore.
need. Yeah. Are marine law and SOP changes still being worked on, or were they delayed due to sticky ban issues? If they are being worked on, is there any ETA on them?
Yes, they were delayed because there's like 30 or something ban appeals that are open at the moment. Well, not right now. I closed most of them. I hope to finish them today or tomorrow, and then hopefully by the end of the week. But I've still got to actually put all the changes into actual words and then put them on the wiki. So at least a week, probably.
Yes, angry typing.
It wasn't angry typing. It was just forceful typing.
You're just angry. You don't know it.
Speaking of, as it comes to if you do have suggestions for that, for either of them, you can send those to Lordington. He's happy to hear out what people think. If they have well crafted reasons for doing that, I would recommend sending something you would change and why you would like it changed and all that in a large coherent paragraph rather than MP's dumb.
Yeah, please don't be like, change this. If you can give me wording and actual reasons, like I think this should be this way because it would benefit the game in this and this and this way. I'm perfectly willing to discuss it with anyone. I've always said that, well, I don't have any actual plans made. I'm perfectly open to any and all suggestions. I'm willing to consider everything. And for the changes, I think I basically read a list the other day. If you have any suggestions as to how, those things could be put into Marine Lore SOP, stuff like that, I always appreciate that because it you might get really good formula that I wouldn't have thought of, and it saves me a lot of work as well. So my PMs are open always. You don't even have to add me as a friend.
Will atmospheric deaths on board the Almaer when the hull is breached make a comeback like the old days with an engine breached in 2012-2014? That specifically, no. We no longer have atmospherics on our server.
Too demanding. It just causes more lag.
Yeah, it doesn't work too well.
The best you get now is if you are close to the DS when it crashes, you are sort of exploded. Because obviously it crashes with a large explosion. But that's about it. Will there be a Discord character dossier channel to promote character backstories? Not likely. The CM official Discord is kind of bloated already. This is something that does already exist on the forum. And personally, I'm not wild about neglecting the forums to be in favor of moving over to Discord, because frankly, it's much harder to moderate Discord than it is the forums for most things. So that is not likely a thing that will come. Will you ever fix runners being able to go in at Mach 3, body block them all the way into the hive in 3 seconds flat? Probably not.
Well, they already don't push that hard and don't have that much speed, but that's one of their features right now.
Yeah,
maybe we'll bring something different, but not now.
You just gotta not Prometheus run away from. Step to the left, step to the right. Don't just go straight. That helps a lot. Any plans for the next structure test? Any intentions for other structures? And the resin turret has been bandied about a few times.
So no, we want the meta and balance to stabilize a bit before we do any changes and compare what we have to what we want to have.
We have our standard distress signal game mode. Are there any plans for new game modes that are actually votable without admin interaction? Some sort of overrun planet mode where there are many more aliens, pre-existing fob at the LV or LZ, and a dropship quote on the way, or some early infection mode where there are only survivors, one is effective, and we have to deal with it from an earlier stage.
Sounds
or one
like Whiskey
where
Outpost.
the goal is to get in and get out intel. That's kind of a GitLab thing. It's not a bad suggestion.
One thing to just sort of bring up when it comes to this sort of stuff, you have to realize if we make a new game mode, we have to start balancing an entire another game mode, and we already struggle to, keep our one game mode balanced. So
We do
if we had another game mode, it could just, it wouldn't be easily managed.
Yeah, UPP and CLF are still not really to be equal to Marines.
More things for a researcher to research. For example, researching xenocorpses can help improve marine armor with chitin. Any better chance of technology like an XCOM sort of thing. Sounds like a fun idea. It does sound like a fun idea, and you should GitLab it.
GitLab it.
It will be done all through the chemicals. So maybe chemicals will add additional armor if applied to the marine, or give stun resistance if injected into marine, and so on and so forth. The chemicals already do a lot of things. People just don't bother. But yeah.
I really hate saying GitLab, but I do want people to know that when we say, and specifically when I say you need to GitLab something, although there is this meme sort of connotation to it, everything that is put on GitLab is looked at by more than one person. When you're putting something on GitLab, you're not putting it on there to die. I'll admit it kind of was like that at one point in time, but it's not like that anymore. Staff frequently checks GitLab. I should know because I use it, and within a day or two, my thing's been addressed, it's been tagged properly. So when I say GitLab it, I'm not being a jerk to you. I'm not saying this is something we need to ignore. I'm saying our GitLab system works. I'm telling you that it works, and I want you to use it because it works. So I don't want you to guys think I'm just dismissing everything with the GitLab. I gotta get a drink of water. Hold on. Have devs considered adding exosuits? This is something that's come up before. There are no current intentions to add exosuits.
Not for USCM. It's not their type of thing.
What is the state of the CL currently with the expected contact test?
To put it simply, the CL hasn't been extremely addressed regarding this. Eventually we will flesh out CL survivors on that. However, as of now, it's basically just up to the player as a CL to actually, role play what they want with it. There's no set standard. However, eventually we will get one, assuming we do adopt expected contact as the official game mode. Oh, actually, while I have the chance to say this, I will still be opening a thread pretty soon regarding suggestions for stuff just like the CL for survivors about how the players want to see them adapted to this new game mode. So you can hold all your ideas to whenever that thread gets posted in the next couple of days.
When is SLC hosting Townhall? I don't know. Probably never.
SLC
I don't want to
is
say
in a better
never,
place
but
now.
yeah, he doesn't have a ton to do with CM anymore, really. I think he jumped in the last time for our last town hall, but I certainly haven't seen him in the last 2 weeks. And he's welcome to come out and say hi. When are Praetorians going to see a nerf? Who knows? I like Praetorians right now.
Yeah, well, Praetorians are T3 and strong.
The Walkman thing, not to be a jerk, but you're entirely right that the GitLab thing. What are you working on currently, and when can we expect the next big update?
Well, about probably by the end of the year, we're gonna have at least 1 or 2 big updates. So you need to define big updates. For us, it feels like we did a lot of work to.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
A lot of our bigger projects are already known, and I feel like the big projects that you will see soonish is, for example, the database. The stat system isn't done yet. The stat system is partially in game, but I'm quite sure that we were going to expand on that, and that's not a secret. The database system is also a big one. And these might not be gameplay things, but they are important things. We are the biggest server without a database. Maybe also because we are the biggest server and don't have a database, but yeah.
But yeah, it's the latest update was pretty huge internally because we fixed a lot of runtimes that were eating into the game speed, and maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't, that our game is run a lot better now. I think Grim is typing too angrily.
Again, it's not angrily; it's just forcefully.
Okay.
Please have push to talk.
It's how you assert dominance. A1 says, "Can you tell A1? A1, you're awesome. Even
Thanks.
though I call your name something different every single time." If I get lab it, what are the odds of a second ear slot for the Walkman added to it? The way I see it, if we're talking about anything theoretical being added from the GitLab, you have a 50-50 chance of it being added. It's either a yes, it gets added, or a no, it doesn't get added. So those are pretty good odds.
It might get added inside another form. But then it gets added. It does get added.
All right, that is all the questions that I currently have. I have cleaned my backlist out. I'm gonna take a break and get some water, or rather refill my water. If you would like to send more questions, now is the time to do it. I see some people already sending me more questions. But I am going to take 5. I'll be back in a minute.
Alright,
Okay.
take 5, guys. I should probably cook something to eat before I starve to.
So corroders work differently because corroders are genetic freaks and they're not normal. So they actually, you only have a 25% chance at best of getting corroders back in. And then if you add the GitLab to the mix, your chances drastic go down.
This is a PSA for France. We are looking actively for more spriders, so get your sprite.
Yes, please.
Come join the Sprite team, please.
If we don't get more spriters, we won't get the gunship mode. So, please.
Oh yes, just a heads up, you can now put green headbands on your helmet.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
Did you not understand what I just said, or?
No, I don't know what that, like, does it even show up?
It probably shows a very, very tiny thing, but that.
Screw it, I'll just test it right now.
Congratulations, Franz. You did something.
Epic.
Sup?
Wait, no, we're not retro. That's mean.
What did Retro do? He
Apparently,
resprited
we're
all the
fully in
headbands.
front.
They look very. I'm not. Never mind.
Huh?
I don't. Well, yeah, they do show up on the helmet now, I guess.
Oh yeah, might as well say it because Neth has said it in OOC. You can now delete fire missions, so cast pilots rejoice.
For now, until it breaks again. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Well, someone, not gonna say who, decided to invert the check on the existence of a fire mission. For some reason, I approved that thing. So, hooray, Neth.
Good job.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Did you
Hello,
miss
Beck.
me?
I'm A1.
I missed you a lot. Thank you
I'm
for coming
glad.
back.
I missed you guys too. I got some water. All right, I got a couple more questions. Let's knock them out. When the tank gets the LTB, could there be like big speakers that play that you put on the tank playing Ghost Division so we boost the morale of the Marines?
What?
Yes.
More, I think it will be more in theme to have Ride of the Valkyries playing. Dun, 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 dun.
Adding it now?
Okay, do it.
I can't code. Shut up.
I spawned in as a survivor, crit today, also in darkness, and then had like 6 Xenos on me with next. I thought we had removed the thing where the survivors spawned in hurt.
No, the hot spawning people hurt. I will fix that, or remove that spawn entirely.
Yeah, so one of the two on that one. Okay, are devs satisfied with the state of Hive Lord and resin in general? A lot of Marines dislike how strong they are.
That's the whole fucking point.
Yeah. You know, they're meant to be this mazy thing that you have to work around where the Xenos can kind of make some defenses out of.
Now,
Use
the
ethos.
resistance of those walls to explosives, is something that we didn't intend to do. But resistance to bullets is pretty much. So we're gonna improve the damage from the explosives, but you'll still have issues in clearing the walls with the bullets. Just clear out the doors. They have 1/5 of the health. So, yeah.
In the far off future, given that Unity Station, SF-13 haven't died to the curse, is there any potential to move there?
Not Unity Station. But yeah, I'm sort of gonna shut up now.
He's dying.
No promises.
Are there any questions that the staff doesn't want to have to talk about?
Nobody likes to talk
yes.
about ice. Just stop talking about ice, please.
Like, I'm not comfortable answering plus questions with.
May I say something?
Please no. Not after I just said that. Go ahead.
Oh no.
What do you have?
What do you think
Retro,
about
please.
ice?
Please no.
If you guys are doing 18 plus actions, please don't help us in explicit detail.
Wait, what?
Shit.
I think this was more of a general anything that we don't want to be asked here in the town. And the serious answer to that question is like bans. I don't want to discuss bans here in the town. The way we do our system, any bans you may accrue are between us as staff and you as the person who is banned. Nobody else needs to know what you did, why you did it, how you got in trouble for it. The only unfortunate exception to this is when something comes up in a player report. Can we have a melee weapon for the tank as a secondary weapon thing, like a big boxing glove? To punch the crusher, stopping you from yeeting away.
I
Well,
think
you
we should have
already
like
have the
catapult
snowplow.
or something. That you can just like fling the crusher away when it gets over.
Any plans to change how tanky a defender is? Competes with the crusher at the moment.
They have different purposes. Defender is a static defense with legs, and Crusher is, well, Crusher.
If it has
They
legs,
crush
it's not
things.
really static, is it?
Well,
Unless they don't work. In which
You
case, wheelchair defender.
okay?
Wheelchair defender?
This person says that ice is nice.
Banhi.
I think Seth mentioned it, but have the win rates stabilized? There's been a lot of changes for both sides lately, so it's kind of hard to say which side is the strongest.
I asked my team to stop looking at the win rate as it is and just focus on the general feeling on how the round progresses, because the issue we see is that round can be lost because of a mistake from queen or from marines. So yeah, I think it's not very effective to try to balance on the purpose to have the win rate set.
We think it's much more important to have fun rather than it is to win or lose. If you're having a blast and you're losing, that's great, mission accomplished. But if you're having a miserable time and you're winning, it's not great either. That's something we want to try to fix. Poison gas options for the Marine. More
You guys
reason to
don't
use gas
breathe.
mask. Again, that's a GitLab thing. And I love you for it, but you got to do it.
GitLab it.
What's the deal with the cupola? Look, you're gonna understand that I don't know how to pronounce certain words.
A cupola.
It has IFF now.
The captcha.
Well, it doesn't have an ammo sprite, and since I joined the server, it's been memed constantly because it's broken, either because it doesn't work or doesn't have IFF properties.
Congratulations,
IFF.
everybody. It now has IFF.
Yes.
Cupola?
Like last
Cupola.
round.
Not like
It's an Italian board.
Not like a handful? A couple?
No.
Yeah, a couple of rounds in your skull.
But I am out of questions. Oh, well. Why did the mini tank flamer have to get nerfed? Because it was too strong.
It's not nerf, it's replaced. The main tank flamer is now the mini tank flamer, and the main tank flamer is now the mini tank flamer.
I mean, I'd still call
So
it.
yeah, they were a bit disproportional in their effectiveness. So if you want to have nice flaming, please use the primary flamer instead.
How was your day? My day was. My kid did not go to church with my parents today, but instead we all went to Burger King.
Sounds good.
I had that new Impossible vegetarian hamburger thing.
How was it?
It was all right. Like, it was better than previous vegetarian hamburgers I've had before, but like I wouldn't want to order it on a daily basis. Not when I can have delicious, delicious beef.
I mean, did they even serve real beef there in the first place, though?
No.
Sure. Hey, I wanted to go to Five
It's
Guys.
just not
when my
great
daughter didn't want to.
quality, but it's probably beef.
A couple more questions trickling in. Any plans to rework Survivor? No, not at the moment. Who knows?
I mean, outside the expected contact thing, no.
Any plans to make Trident Dam less daunting and more linear? Specific.
Is this a good point to have it more linear? I don't know.
Trident Jam, as mentioned, is getting worked on. I don't know about making it more linear. That seems like not the direction you quite want to go. Then you just have Prison 2.0.
Yeah, the linearity is really against the Xeno health. The more linear the level is, the bigger chance Delta will go straight to the base and kill him.
Can we replace the kitchen, the ship with a McDonald's? No, because funnily enough, being what we are, we do try to stay away from branded things like that. So, there's a little bit of irony,
Yes,
Yeah,
we don't
we'll,
want to.
we'll just ask McDonald's if we can use their brand.
Their brand name.
We don't want to infringe on anyone's ideas.
Call it McRonald's instead. I don't think the copyright is avoided if you're just changing one word.
Well, it depends if you're competing with them.
Are there plans for another Xeno case? That's right, cased. If there
No.
are, please don't give me any info about it.
There is no new.
We don't just
No
add
new
cast because they're like they're like hard to actually make useful. Like we just don't want a bunch of useless cast when we already have some that aren't, up to like peak performance.
Cased.
Cast, I swear.
Caste.
That's all my questions I got at this point. I don't think I'm going to take any more. So I'm going to turn it over to somebody else. If they would like to add something that we think it is important for the community to hear. Like, I understand what I just said. It's goading somebody on, but I'm not. Like,
We
it
need
might be over
spiders.
at this point.
Don't
We
break
need
the rules.
spiders. We need spiders.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need
There you go,
players.
eat something.
Yeah, we're looking for spriters currently. We have been doing so for a while. Learn how to sprite and then join us, and we'll put your cool sprite in.
We need more mods too.
We could use more mods.
And more
Just be staff in
mentors.
general.
Mentors
Yes,
will
be
opening
stuff.
up.
Be nice.
We'll just kick you when we don't need any more.
Yeah, might as well say it here. Okay, if you are want to edit the wiki, you can do that. You don't need my permission to edit everything, unless it's something very specific, like the rules page or anything. You can just sign up, make an account, make sure it matches your C key, because I want to be very organized and I want to know what your C key is and find you very effectively. So yeah, if you want to edit the wiki, just do it. You don't have to ask me. Oh, and if you're lazy, just go to WikiWork and post what's wrong. Don't bother, Merkel. I have a reset button, I can just revert. I can pull on no you.
There's one last question that I'm being told is serious coming in. So we're going to wait a couple seconds. What are we going to do if more players show up? Are there any plans for a hard pop limit like FPS does? No, like FPSs in general. I got you.
Nath, you want to
It's
say anything about
being,
that, or
it's being discussed. Depends on the population. Depends on the low population, and so on. If we get 120 people during low pop and 300 during high pop, there might be an issue if we split into two servers, and no one likes limitations on the server. Like, oh no, I cannot join the game. Fuck.
I mean, yeah, we've discussed it, but it's a big challenge, so it's not like gonna happen tomorrow or anything, or even at all, possibly.
Do you think it's possible to spread out the T3 castes?
Cats.
More so that the Xeno populations aren't so lopsided. Probably not. That's one of the challenges of playing Xeno. Sometimes you don't get to pick the rule that allows you to kill 6,000 Marines. Sometimes you got to pick the rule that allows you to put down weeds so the other Xenos can survive. This was a question about ERT. I just skimmed it, but ERTs are looking at getting beefed back up. It's just a little on the low priority side right now. Okay, Neff, anything from you?
Well, the only thing I want to say is thanks. Because it's really nice having a chat with you all and really humbling. So, yeah, I love you all. I'm a happy guy, as Avon says.
Thank you. I love you too. EB, anything from you?
Yeah, you can send all your good message to me. If you have a complaint, just send it to Grimcad.
Okay. With that, I think we are done. Hope you all have a great day. I guess my last question is, does this time frame right now work better for you European folks?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's 7 o'clock. Oh,
that's
7
like
o'clock when you start.
a perfect time then.
Yeah, perfect time.
Okay.
For
so
Australians.
chances are what will happen is we will alternate between this time and the other time. Because the other time is a bit better for us Americans. I'm not so sure about the Americans, but they don't count anyway.
Oh, well, I guess it will be another 3 a.m. next time. See you in a month.
Poor Neth.
All right, well, I hope everybody has a great day. I am going to, I don't know, eat some candy or something.